So we go through this one. It says we're now focusing on 5 important criteria that we use to separate animals from the other forms of life, right? Here it says that there are several key criteria that distinguish or separate animals from other kingdoms, such as plants and fungi, from other kingdoms like plants and fungi. Let's see the 5 essential criteria that we're going to use to separate animals from other kingdoms. First one is the nutritional mode. All right. Nutritional mode. How do animals eat? How do they eat? Now, animals. And I've separated it into two. First thing is that animals are heterotrophic eukaryotes. Okay, animals are heterotrophic. Don't ever forget that. That is first thing about the nutritional mode of animals. Animals are heterotrophic, which is already different from plants that are autotrophic. Let's see what heterotrophic means. Heterotrophic means animals are, that's what here it's saying, animals are heterotrophs, meaning they must obtain their nutrients by consuming others. Okay, they consume other organisms or organic matter that is decaying. Okay, some animals consume decaying organic matter, but they will be consuming something else. They can't make food for on their own. They have to consume something. Unlike autotrophs produce their own food. They don't consume any other organism, whether dead or alive. Animals consume other organisms. The organisms may be dead or the organisms may be alive. All right? Of course, when they consume them, they would kill them. But either way, now some would have been decaying already, dead on their own, then the animal comes and consumes it. But either way, it's still consuming something else. That makes it heterotroph. Animals are heterotrophs. Second, they ingest and digest. Here it says animals ingest food and digest it internally, which is different from fungi. Animals ingest and digest food in the same body. So they take food to ingest it, to put food into your body and digest it inside the body. Now, fungi, which is another kingdom, not the animal kingdom, fungi, what does it do is it breaks down food. It simply breaks it down outside of the body, and then it will take in the nutrients after having broken it down outside. But animals ingest, then digest once it's already in. Okay, in the same body. So fungi would digest it outside, then absorb it later. They absorb the nutrients. But for animals, they ingest and digest internally. So first thing was nutritional mode. 1, they are heterotrophs, which means they consume other organisms. 2, they ingest and digest in the same body. Now we go to the second feature. It's now on cell structure and specialization of cells. So we're now looking at the cells of these things. First thing is that animals are multicellular, which means that one animal body is composed of many cells. In one body, you will find millions of cells in there. So that means it is multicellular. Multicellular just means in a body, you will find many cells. They can go up to millions. Okay, they can be something that's just more than one. Okay, unlike bacteria, where in one body there is one cell. If you kill that one cell, then the body dies. Everything dies. For us, it's not like that. We have multiple cells. Okay, and these many cells, they lack cell walls. They do not have cell walls. So animal cells don't have cell walls. The cells are held together by what we call structural proteins. These are found inside the membrane, like collagen. The collagen is found just outside the cell, and it holds the cell together. It is right at the cell membrane, not cell wall. There is no cell wall. Okay, it's a structural protein that helps the cell membrane to stay in place and keep the cell in place. Then the third thing is, in those same cells, they don't all do the same job. The cells are organized into different jobs. They do this. The cells perform different functions. That is tissue organization. So in cells, 1, the cells are multicellular. They lack cell walls, and the cells differentiated, or they form tissues. They have specialized functions. All right. Now, number 3, animals have 2 unique types of tissues. Okay. Animals have 2 unique types of tissues. One is the nervous tissue. Nervous tissue, here we said it is the tissue that is specialized for conducting impulses. We said the cells come together to form a group of tissues. One of them is the nervous tissue, which is a job of conducting impulses. Impulses are what your body moves when you have detected stimuli. Stimuli is a change in the environment, a certain change in the environment. It quickly upsets your body. And when it upsets your body, the impulses move in the nerve tissue, in the nervous tissue, and this helps you to respond quickly to the change. Okay, so that is what we mean by it conducts impulses, fast signals. Okay, so they have 2 types of tissues. One is the nervous tissue, which has a function of conducting impulses that allows you to react quickly. And then the second is the muscle tissue, which is responsible for your movement. Okay. However, we have sponges that do not have muscle tissue. It's the only type of animal that doesn't have, but the rest have muscle tissue. Muscle tissue helps you to then move, because for you to be able to then respond, you also need to have muscle tissue. This helps you to do voluntary or involuntary action. Okay, like for your hand, when you put your hand on a hot plate, what happens? The nervous tissue helps you to, it detects the change. It detects that, oh my gosh, the hand is on a hot plate, and it quickly sends an impulse. Okay, it quickly sends an impulse. That's the nervous tissue. It has done its job. It has sent a fast signal to the brain, and now, because it's a reflex action, it doesn't go to the brain, but it just goes straight to the spinal cord, your backbone. And then what happens? The moment the impulse arrives, the muscles in your hand contract, lifting the hand up. So these muscles are important as well. They help you to perform voluntary actions when you are weightlifting or doing whatever you're doing, lifting stuff, or involuntary actions where it moves on its own. So there are 2 unique types of tissues in animals. This is different from other organisms, right? Exactly. Now we go to another thing, and this is now their reproduction and development in animals. Reproduction. Animals go through sexual reproduction, where you have one parent, one male parent, one female parent coming together. And when we say sexual reproduction, we don't talk about we don't really in biology focus on the organisms, but we focus now on the egg and the sperm. So the egg fertilizing the sperm. That is what we will be looking at when we talk about sexual reproduction. So the sperm fertilizing the egg. So we have a big egg. The egg is bigger than the sperm, but it is not motile. It stays in one place. It has a non-motile thing. Then we have the flagellated sperm, which means it has a tail. That's called a flagellum. This makes it swim and go and fertilize the egg. That is your sexual reproduction. So most animals, they reproduce sexually, which you have your sperm fertilizing your egg, and then your egg becomes a zygote. When it's like that, that means it is now in what we call the diploid stage. So most animals reproduce sexually with the diploid stage dominating. Diploid stage means you now have an organism that has 2 sets of chromosomes, one from each parent. So one from the mom, one from the dad, one from the egg, one from the sperm. So now you have this, and that is your diploid stage. That is where if you see a moving animal, most animals, when they just come from being a zygote, they are already going into this diploid stage where you have 2 sets of chromosomes from the moment they are a zygote. So that is what we mean. They reproduce sexually, and the diploid stage dominates their life cycle. Diploid, 2 sets of chromosomes, one from each parent. Now, development. How does it develop? The developmental stages. The zygote undergoes cleavage, that's one, and cleavage makes it form into a blastula. Blastula is just a ball of cells. No gap, no nothing, no opening. It's just a blastula. Then, during gastrulation, part of the blastula then folds inwards, okay? And that's where you get the blastopore, that opening. to form two primary tissue layers, ectoderm and endoderm. So it was one like this, but now it folds inwards like this. Then we now have two layers. This inner one, we can say this inner one, and then we will have the outer one. So the outer is now going to be the ectoderm, and then now the inner is going to be the endoderm. So it folds in. That is what happens. This is gastrulation now. So remember, there is cleavage where you have one zygote, one cell. It's called a zygote. It now goes through cleavage. Cleavage, it is when you have mitosis. It breaks down by mitosis and forms many other cells. It becomes a bunch of cells, a ball of cells called a blastula. The blastula folds inwards and during gastrulation, where it's going to be a gastrula now. And when it folds inwards, the inner layer becomes the endoderm, then the outer layer becomes the ectoderm. Don't forget that. Now here, that is the last, the development, embryonic development, where you have zygote going through cleavage to form a blastula. The blastula then goes through gastrulation, where it forms the opening called a blastopore, and then it folds into two layers, the inner called the endoderm, the outer called the ectoderm. Basic but very important. Now we go to the last thing that is in animals, and this is what we call Hox genes. Hox genes are very, very important. What is their job? Hox genes play a crucial role in the development of an animal's body plan. By body plan, we just mean the animal's shape. How do they do it? They regulate the expression of other genes. Okay, Hox genes regulate. Point number one, they regulate the expression of other genes during embryonic development. Okay, during embryonic development, Hox genes regulate the expression of other genes. They control which gene is going to be expressed. Why is this important? Hox genes ensure proper formation of body structures. So here's what we said again. They are important in development of your shape of your body plan. Hox genes are important in the development of an animal's body plan. Okay? How do they do it? They ensure that you have a proper shape, formation of proper formation of body structures by controlling the embryonic development process. This makes them vital for the transformation of a zygote into a fully formed animal. Basic. Hox genes, they ensure that your body plan is correct. Okay? They are important because they help in development of an animal's body plan. They control the expression of other genes during the development process, ensuring that the zygote transforms into a fully formed animal. They help the zygote form into, if it's an ant, into a nice ant, or a nice human being, or a nice cow, or a nice whatever, rodent, whatever animal it is. It should have the right shape. And the Hox genes help to make sure that that ball of cells that started, the one cell that started, the zygote, the one cell that was formed from an egg and the sperm together forming one cell, that one cell, it starts going through mitosis to become a ball of cells, and then it starts going through gastrulation, blah blah blah. Hox genes will be part of that whole process, and they help ensure that a zygote develops into a fully grown animal in the right body plan. Here are two situations where Hox genes mutate. If a Hox gene changes, here is a sign to help you know that Hox genes are important. Let's look in human beings. In humans, Hox genes are essential for proper limb development. They are important for proper limb development. Proper development of your bones, these points where your bones join and these other things. Okay? Proper limb development. Mutations in Hox genes can cause congenital disorders where people may have extra fingers on or toes. Whoo! Extra fingers. Extra fingers or toes. Right? If your Hox genes are not, if they mutate, okay, if they mutate, in other words, if they just transform into something else, then you are under trouble. You are in trouble because Hox genes are so important. They were ensuring that you have the right body plan. Okay, good. Now, let's see. In fruit flies, Hox genes determine the development of the segments. Mutations in this gene can cause legs growing where the antenna should be. My gosh. So we saw that they're essential for proper limb development in humans and for body segments, for development of body segments in the right place in the fruit flies. Okay. Now we've seen the problem. If this doesn't happen in humans, you may have too many fingers or toes, whatever. So these are the Hox genes. They ensure the proper formation of body structures. Okay. How? By controlling the development process. They help the proper formation of the body structures. Hox genes are present in all animals except sponges. Okay? They are present in all animals. That's why they are very important. They are very important. Now, never forget this, and these are the 5 criteria.